All right, Novocaine. I just watched this today, and I had fun with it. Gave it a 3 out of 5. Novocaine tells the story of a young man who has a disease that I cannot pretend to know. I don't remember what he said. It was very easy what he said. Shepa, whatever. He cannot feel any pain.
Okay.
So he has to live his life in this way where, like, he has to wear an alarm to remind him to go to the bathroom. Like, every time it goes off, he's got, because he has no feeling. He feels nothing. But so he falls in love with this young lady who works at the bank that he does. When it gets robbed, they kidnap her, and he goes after her. So he tears through this whole town trying to find these kidnappers and save her. And he's not a superhero. He just can't feel pain. So it's kind of him just trying to figure it out and fight his way through it when he can, but like really getting damaged along the way. It's pretty wild. Jack Quaid pulls it off. Like here's the thing. Jack Quaid looks like his dad, and his dad's a good looking guy. His dad's crazy as all can be. His dad's as crazy as his uncle. So that's saying something. But Jack Quaid has his father's charisma and his father's looks at the same time, having his mother's looks as well previously, and completely his mother's adorability, because this guy can smile his dad's smile, but his eyes look like his mom, and it just is crazy.
Who is his mom?
Meg Ryan.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, they were married before Russell Crowe. Remember?
No,
I'm totally I hope he doesn't watch this review.
I don't follow like who was married to who. That's fair.
Well, yeah, so that's his parents, and yeah, he kills it. He's a charming guy. And like in this, he's a very charming guy, but it's not that he's getting his ass kicked. He's just getting hurt over and over and over again and not feeling kind of continuing on. It does go on. I will say this. It is a good movie. I had a lot of fun with it. It drags on for a while. The whole movie ties in really well. The story is pretty good. And like every connection that they kind of build on all throughout really works. Like they call back to, they'll come back to things that you saw earlier that you're like, oh, that's right, I forgot that happened. But it plays in perfectly with what's happening. It's almost like they tried to stretch out about 10 minutes more than they should have. The villains, which you didn't really build up that much, the twist and stuff, like you sort of like didn't really play into it that well, and then like kind of stretched on it. His parts were really good. You should have left it sort of like that, like sort of like a John Wick, but not like this nerdy John Wick type going through, almost like a video game, like have them go through the levels to fight the different bad guys, which they do, but they drag it out. That's my only thing. Like I want to make that my point. And that's where it really kind of took me out of it a little bit. Like I kind of started looking at the clock a little bit, like, is it how much longer in this movie before I can go? But overall, if you're going to sit at home and watch this, I think you really enjoy it. It's 3 out of 5. I know it kind of differs from like the topic earlier about like, are we going to go see the movies? I do think like renting it counts. So like if you want to rent it, you should definitely and support indie when you can. But go to the theater if you want. It was fun. It's a fun movie. But I want to get to there. Yeah, I have it. I'll see you later, everybody. Thank you. this one because I had our next review of Black Bag. Listen, Soderbergh, you're 2 for 2 in 2025, man. I loved Present and I loved Black Bag. And for me, when you watch Soderbergh, I think we were talking about filmmaking earlier. He has always been such an experimental film. He loves like a voyeuristic type of view in things, but like really, like I love when he experiments with certain things. And in this, he absolutely does that. Black Bag tells the tale of spies in the British MI6. I don't think they ever explicitly say MI6, but they are British spies, and it all takes place within Britain, in their building, or at their homes and such. Basically, a very important thing, a MacGuffin, was stolen and is trying to be sold off to the Russians as a weapon. And one of them is a mole. One of these 6 spies is a mole. And one guy is brought on, Michael Fassbender's character. He's like an elite spy who can investigate anything and figure it out. He investigates spies and like can figure anything out. The problem is, out of these spies, one of them may be his wife. So like it brings that element into it. It's intriguing. I feel like this is Soderbergh's answer to if he was making a James Bond. Would this work as a James Bond movie? Absolutely not. Even though it has James Bond in it, Pierce Brosnan's in it, and it has Naomi Harris, who played Moneypenny. All of them are brilliant in this. This is a great cast. Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender completely knock it out of the park with their performances. I had such a great time with this movie. I will watch this again. The intrigue, the thrill. It's very contained. And I've talked about this before with Soderbergh. He's a very contained filmmaker. He likes to keep to, location-wise, I don't think he likes to go out too crazy. Like the casino, and it's Vegas, and then it all kind of builds in on things. And it's almost like that in reverse, like with Contagion, and stuff like that. Like it builds out. Like he's very good about placing people, and he's on, in certain spots, and he's doing this like he's kind of like not mimicking, but maybe doing homages to certain filmmakers. And I will definitely say Black Bag is an homage to the old spy movies, especially from like the 70s. But like James Bond it has a heavy influence in this. But then you go back to movies like he just came out, Presence, which is his version of a horror movie. It's a ghost story, all contained to this house through the point of view of the ghost. He is a great filmmaker in that sense. And like this was a movie that I think will be on my top 10 at the end of the year. It really stuck with me. And I went with my wife, and she walked out and had a bit of a different opinion. And I'll share that too, because she said, I think I would have enjoyed this more at home. I didn't enjoy it in the theater as much, just because like she was trying to catch on to like a lot of what they're saying, because it is very, very dialogue heavy. But 4 out of 5, man. I thought everything about this was just really good. And if you kind of let yourself get into it and realize this is an old-fashioned sort of spy drama, don't get mixed in and expect like giant explosions and all this stuff. That's not what this is. This is an old-fashioned, like, think All the President's Men, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like I like that tone. And Black Bag was a good one. So and it was a really good examination of relationships, and how trust plays into it and stuff like that. So very cool character study in that as well. But if you're watching this as a clip or any other time, we're getting to the next one, and that is Mickey 17. I'm very excited to talk about this one. I love Mickey. Another one that was 4 out of 5 for me. This might be my favorite that I've seen in the past week. Mickey 17 tells the tale of Robert Pattinson. This is a Bong Joon-ho film. He directed Parasite, The Host, others. If you haven't seen his work, you absolutely should. Another filmmaker that really just chews up the space he's filming in, and he really utilizes everything that he's used, like everything that's in the frame. He's utilizing everything, and I attribute that to Soderbergh, who we were talking about before. But this was such a good one. This was like, this tells the tale of, like, so Robert Pattinson plays a guy named Mickey. Him and his buddy get into some trouble, so they decide to sign up for this great excursion to another planet on this colony sort of ship, and it's led by like Mark Ruffalo. He's like it's almost like a crazy, exaggerated televangelist figure. and like kind of fits the mold of a lot of different things. Like you can tell just by his look and the way he's acting. There's a lot of dictators in there and a lot of evangelists, which are all the same thing. So a lot of that stuff is it's all the same, or cult leaders, things like that. Like it works. Toni Collette plays her like completely self-centered, but like super Tammy Faye type wife in this. It's fantastic. But then everybody else like gets like assigned certain levels, like some are security, some are this, some of that, and Mickey is an expendable. And what that means, he's the only expendable. What that means is he is used for science experiments or to check things or to do this, that, and the other thing, because he can die. And what they'll do is they will reprint a body that's exact copy and then download his memories. Now, as you can tell by the title, Mickey 17, they get pretty far down the line, and they do it in such a really clever and interesting way. And I'm not going to spoil or take anything away from you guys. I think you should go check this out and see it in theaters, because again, the scope and everything that's in frame, this is a sci-fi movie. So the backdrop is always alive, and there's a huge sci-fi element into it. And I want you to keep in mind when you watch it and you see certain creatures and things like that, and like the VFX, and I got the man right here. The VFX may seem not as pristine, like you can tell they're VFX, but it is it like looks very similar to like how you would see in other Korean films and such. And now I may be speaking out of turn, but that's what I was drawing from it, like a certain type of look to the visual effects. And I actually I appreciated that about. And if you get a chance to check this out, Joe, I'd love to hear your opinion on it and the creatures that you show. But
I was definitely interested in this one. I just haven't gotten to see it.
I think you will, and I can't wait to hear what you think. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Mickey 17 again implies that they get to the 17th one. He doesn't die, and then 18th is printed, and that is illegal in their society. They can't be duplicates. So it becomes like sort of a comedy of errors after that, but done in such a wonderful way, because you start to see that maybe as they get printed out, the personalities change, because there's two very different types of personalities between 17 and 18. And Pattinson knocked it out of the park with this. He is, say what you will about Twilight or whatever, every movie I've seen him in besides those has been fantastic, and more so with his performance, honestly. But I had such a good time with this movie. This is another great win for the director, another great win for Pattinson, in my opinion. Like, this is one I think everybody should go see and go check out in theaters. I absolutely loved it, for sure. But yeah, that's my review of Mickey 17, and now it's time for... Mick's movie pick 1991 is what I'm at. Thelma and Louise. We're doing Women's Appreciation Month for classic movies starring women or telling tales of women that are women empowerment, and things like that. I know I'm saying this wrong, but it's 10 o'clock. I'm tired. But this is my choice for this week. I did Dreamgirls the week before and All About Eve. You can go check those out as well. But 1991, Thelma and Louise. It's a great story. This is a really good movie. It's directed by Ridley Scott. Stars Harvey Keitel as well as Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, Michael Madsen's in this, Christopher McDonald, who you might remember as Shooter McGavin. He plays like a rotten character in it. Brad Pitt's early role. And you can find all this out by tomorrow, coming back to the Scene Snobs Podcast after you hit subscribe and watching it on our classic film review, Thelma and Louise, where we have some behind-the-scenes stuff and more. And that's not all, Joe, because you're also going to get to see on Thursday our continuation of the James Bond movies with Skyfall. And we're nearing to an end because on Friday, you'll have Spectre. That's right. You go get all the behind the scenes. Just make sure you hit subscribe. I had a little fun with it.